Ask that you please rise as Pastor Tom Pearson leads us in our invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Almighty God, we want to thank you for this day. It has been a gift. Lord, we are glad to be alive. Lord, as we gather here knowing that we live in community, I ask your blessing upon this council meeting and those who serve so faithfully. Grant wisdom and understanding. Lord, may all be heard. May decisions be made. In your precious name, bless this meeting with your presence, your guidance. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's 5:30, Monday, October 15, 2018. I'll call this meeting of the Fergus Falls City Council to order. Roll call, please.
Hicks.
Present.
Halper.
Here.
Fish.
Here.
Rachel.
Here.
Rupert.
Here. Here.
Hermsen.
Here.
Speedo.
Here.
We have a quorum. The first item on the agenda this evening is the approval of the agenda, and I'll call on City Administrator Andrew Bremseth. Are there any additions or corrections?
Good evening, Your Honor, members of the council. We do not have any changes to the agenda tonight.
Thank you. With that, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
That, Your Honor.
Thank you, Jim.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Darren. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. There are no public hearings this evening, and there are no bids to award. Under petitions and communications, we have a proclamation this evening declaring December 1st, 2018 as Best Robotics Day in Fergus Falls. And would you like to help me read the proclamation? Elizabeth? I'll take the part where it says, therefore I, Ben Shire. You can take everything else.
Whereas encouraging youth to pursue careers in engineering, science, technology, and mathematics is important to Minnesota's future. And whereas BEST, which stands for boosting engineering, science, and technology, inspires students to pursue careers in engineering, science, technology, and mathematics through robotics design. And whereas engineering, science, technology, and mathematics are an integral part of Fergus Falls' economy, and whereas education in these areas is important for Fergus Falls' future, and whereas Central Lakes Robotics is a Fergus Falls middle school and high school team won the Boys and Best Robotics competition and the Northern Plain Regional competition in 2017.
Now therefore I, Ben Shire, Mayor of the City of Fergus Falls, do hereby proclaim December 1st, 2018 shall be observed as Best Robotics Day in the City of Fergus Falls on this first day of December 2018. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
We wanted to change it to December 1st. Sorry. Kind of changed that one on the fly.
Hey, your rules.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, and there's a copy of the consent agenda in your packet. There's also one, Lynn's putting one on the board for us on the screens. If there's any items that anyone wants to discuss individually, we can pull those. If not, I would.
Your Honor, I'd like to pull off the city council minutes from the last meeting.
Item 1. Okay, anything else? If not, is there a resolution to approve the consent agenda minus item number 1? Thank you, Brent.
I'll second, Your Honor.
Thank you, Justin. Roll call, please.
Hicks.
Yes.
Halper.
Yes.
Fish.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
Rupert.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Hermsen.
Yes.
Speedo.
Yes.
That resolution is approved. Okay, Anthony, you had a question? move to the minutes of the October 1st meeting.
Yeah, I would like to, Your Honor, add a little bit more kind of specific language on the unique opportunities update. It just says, after answering questions about this updated analysis, the market value, I specifically, would like to see, my question of staff was about what the city's obligation is, if any, and I would like that kind of more defined. I can't remember exactly what I said, but I wonder if we could go back on the recording and fill that in. Obviously, it was followed up because we then got an email from Amy Baldwin that obviously spoke with Mary at Briggs, so I'd like that reflected in the minutes.
I'm sorry, okay, is that something we can,
I'd just like the minutes to reflect the conversation that we had about unique opportunities and the questions, not, all of staff's kind of discussion is listed out, and, obviously council discussion is in kind of, 4 lines. So I'd like it to reflect the conversation that happened that
second to
evening.
last paragraph to have
Yep.
more details, is that what you're asking for?
Correct.
I guess we'll bring those minutes back for approval at the next council meeting.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Under Ordinance and Resolutions, I think we'll first start off, Amy Baldwin, would you like to give us an overview of the resolutions that will be, and the motions that we'll be discussing and deciding this evening?
Great. Thank you, Mayor, council members. There are a number of items coming up on the agenda related to the Unique Opportunities Legacy Apartments project. So as indicated, I'll just kind of walk through those, and then the city planner and I will be addressing specifics on the various items within the agenda. So just as background to the project, originally, there was a development agreement approved in 2016 that contemplated a multi-phase project for the Legacy Apartments located on Tower Road. This was following the approval of a tax increment financing district, and that contemplated the development agreement, which contemplated financial assistance to make this project financially viable. Since that time, the developer has concluded and completed phase 1 construction of the project that commenced in 2016, and that 36-unit building was built and is currently occupied with now no additional phases contemplated for the overall project. The $1.98 million valued project based on Otter Tail County's assessed value is occupied, as I mentioned, and with the change in the project, there was an updated financial analysis completed with Springstead that was reviewed at last Monday, or the last city council meeting. Again, that change in the scope of the project was looked at in reducing the number of units within the project and looking at actual numbers from the project to analyze what would be the rate of return for the project with the assistance and without assistance. Without assistance, as was noted, it was just over 5% on an internal rate of return. National average for the industry for this type of project is 7.26%. And with the assistance that is being proposed, there would be a rate of return of just over 7%, so below that national average for the development itself. And as has been noted, the property was sold to H9 LLC in October of 2017, and we have been aware of that transaction and have been working through the site issues since that time to address comprehensively all of the site issues that were still outstanding, as well as the technical issues as far as the ownership of the property, and then ultimately this updated financial analysis. So included in the items that need to be addressed are a replat of the property, which was before the Planning Commission last week, and we will be reviewing that information. And actually, first it'll be the a variance needed for the building encroaching into the setback along Tower Road. So those items will be talked about first. There is a sequence of approvals to be considered by the City Council, and those two planning action items and Board of Zoning and planning item should be looked at first. And then I will come back up to talk about the amended and restated development agreement further, as well as the assumption and assignment of that development agreement by the new property owner. So we will continue that discussion in a bit. Additionally, as we've been talking about, there were outstanding site issues, and now the property has received its certificate of occupancy that has been issued. All site issues and compliance with those issues have been resolved, and the other items that are in progress are the ones being looked at tonight as far as the platting of the property to pull off the phase 1 of the project from the overall parcel, and then again that setback variance for the building itself. So with that, I will, sorry, very sensitive mouse here. Okay, turn over for a discussion on the preliminary plat and variance.
I've got a question. Or this whole project concerns me. We all campaigned and made promises about transparency, and when we stood, and I think before we kind of go down the road of accepting all of these resolutions that are put to us, I think I would like to see us have a more in-depth review of what's taken place in this whole transaction. It's been a challenging site from pretty much from day one. The property was sold in October of 2017, which doesn't comply with Section 6.9 on the assignment. All the documentation continues to be in the name of Unique Properties or Unique Opportunities, but it's really H9 LLC that is the owner. They're asking for a variance for a building that's within the right-of-way. And I want to remind City Council and City staff that we spend hours pulling yard signs and election signs that are placed in the right-of-way, but we're prepared to allow a building with a simple variance go through. So, in the future, can a resident apply for a variance to put a yard sign in the public right-of-way? Why not? We're going to allow a building to do that. I'm very, very uncomfortable with understanding exactly what's going on with this project. We're looking at giving them effectively a $650,000 subsidy, and I don't feel that we're dealing with it clearly. We've misled the public. We sent out a letter, for the Planning Commission that was dated October the 8th, and it said unique opportunities, and really it's H9 that is the owner of the property. So I would suggest strongly that we resend that letter and state who the owner of the property is for the public, because it's not fair to say that one person is doing this for one person when in fact you're going to flip it and give it to another person. I'm told that we don't have the financial records, that Briggs has them. I think we should see those records here. We've tracked records in the past for other projects on City Hall. So I think we have the right to see those. I can't support this until we have a full and open book to follow the paper trail of what's going on here. When we all knocked on doors, one of the biggest things that people said to me was they didn't like the way the ice arena was done. They felt there was something underhand of the way it is because we weren't transparent. And I think this is another deal where we're doing exactly the same. I also think if we approve this, we're setting a dangerous precedence in that we're going to allow somebody to build 10 feet into our right-of-way, and then we're going to approve that. So, and I think we have to remember it's public money, it's not our money. So I'd like to table this for further transactions relating to unique opportunities in H9 and call for an independent inquiry and exactly what has taken place and the way that the documents are all aligned. We're not being open and we're not being transparent to the public on this particular project. That's and I've spoken to several of the planning commission's representatives, and they are not happy with this. They feel they've been pressurized into making this decision. So I think it should be good that, in fact, probably the City Council and the Planning Commission have a meeting to discuss exactly what's going on with unique opportunities, or H9, or whoever the property belongs to. So.
Thank you. I think we owe staff an opportunity to, to present what is on the agenda this evening, and then the council has the ability to.
Is there a motion to table? I don't, was that a motion?
I would make the motion to table it.
I would second it.
We have a motion and a second to table. Would you like to have discussion on the
If I could
motion?
add just a few
Yes.
items. Mayor, council members, one, just to clarify, it isn't a setback into the right-of-way. It is it's a encroachment into the setback from the right-of-way. So to be clear that it is within the ownership of the property. Unique Opportunities is the developer, and we often have developers make application on behalf of a property owner, so that is not an unusual process or application form. That is, an applicant can be different than a property owner with the property owner's sign-off on any planning application in regards to that. The development agreement itself, shifting to that side outside of the entitlement approvals, the development agreement is with Unique Opportunities at this time, so that would be the appropriate reference to that. The consideration of the assumption and assignment of that development agreement is the action that is on the agenda for this evening. So just to make sure that that's has clarity around those items. The analysis from Springstead that was presented last meeting was kept by Springstead, the details of that, because it is actual project information. And typically in projects, we have only the projected numbers, which is very different than actual proprietary financial data from a development, which is why we used our advisor consultant to directly receive that information from the developer, and that would be standard practice to have that type of relationship because of it being actual numbers, because we are looking almost at a look back of the project due to the fact it's already been built. So we have that ability, which is good, to have actual project data to consider versus projected numbers, which is usually what we're using when we're considering financial assistance. So just wanted to highlight a couple of those items for the council's information.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor to table. So is the motion to table all discussion on unique?
All discussion and have a more independent inquiry or review of the documentation.
It seemed to me that we have the items on the agenda, it's gone through the Planning Commission and public hearings, that I'm going to be in support of letting staff present each of their the presentations for each of the items, and then I would hope that the council would vote on them. But I guess that's how I feel. We have a motion on the floor. We're going to vote on that motion to table.
I think I was just going to say that referring to our parliamentarian, but a motion to table is not debatable in that sense. So we have to vote on that.
It's time to vote on it. I mean, we're not here to discuss it
I do have
beyond
one
it.
question that could have timing implications related to the 60-day rule in the plat. I think we should ask the question on where we're at with the 60-day rule, because counter to your point, if 60 days elapse and we don't act on the plat, it automatically becomes approved, and I don't think that's your intention. So I think we need to hear that answer if the council's willing to hear that before they take action.
I will state that this is a preliminary plat only, so there is no property lines are actually being changed at this point. This would just be preliminary plat. If it was approved, they would have a year to come back and actually file for a final plat. So while yes, the 60 days is certainly a concern, and we don't want it just to lapse, This is not actually putting, property lines on the ground. This is just a preliminary plat. So the next step would then be a final plat, and that is where I would have much more concern if we were bumping up against a 60-day deadline.
So we have a motion on the table motion to table discussion on unique properties this evening.
Oh, my apologies, thank you. Amy also reminded me. The variance, though, is also subject to the 60-day rule, and if that does not get acted on within 60 days, then it does go into effect. So that is something to keep in mind when we are discussing timing here.
What is the time frame then, the 60 days?
I don't have my stuff.
August 10th, Your Honor, members, the application was received.
To be fair, I believe it was not actually officially complete until September
you're right.
13th. So we
Complete
have,
application, you're right.
yes, so we have till November 13th to act on it.
It would need to be acted on prior to that, probably for sure by the November 5th meeting.
Could we,
All right, so we have a motion on the table. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
aye.
Aye. Looks like it's,
5 and
call the
2.
roll to 6 to 2. Is that, show of hands, those ayes in favor of the motions, aye. So 6 to 2, the motion carries. All right.
So are we saying the first three items on the agenda?
First 3 items on the agenda
Yeah,
will
we'll
be.
jump to number 4.
Okay.
Item number 4.
Your Honor, before we go on, I gotta ask Anthony, you said that the planning commission felt pressured. None of us have talked to the planning commission. Who pressured them?
I had 3 planning commissioners call me.
But I mean, did they,
I mean, I believe,
I mean, I know all of them, I don't know why they would feel pressured. So I'd like to resolve that issue sooner than
That's
later.
where I think we need a meeting between the council and the planning
Right.
commission.
That doesn't, when we went into this, they were, a lot of discussion was that we just let them, we rubber stamped everything when it came through, and I said, that's not the way it is. We changed this. We talked about this 6 months ago or 8 months ago. And so I thought we were doing really good with them, and now all of a sudden, now they feel pressured. And I never pressured them. I never talked to them about it. I don't.
No, they weren't pressured by council members.
Okay. I just want to know who pressured them, so we need to just get that out in the open.
Item number 4 is a motion directing city attorney to draft an ordinance amending the property located at 2010 West Lincoln Avenue from B6 to B2. I'll call on City Planner Ryan.
Thank you very much, Your Honor, members of the council. For the record, my name is Ryan Vietlich, city planner with the city of Fergus Falls. Before you this evening is a rezoning request. This is a rezoning request for the West Liquor Store located at 2010 West Lincoln Avenue. It is currently zoned B2 and it is owned by the city. The request is actually to rezone the lot, and I apologize, it's actually, let me go back one. There's a typo. It's actually currently zoned B6, not B2. B2 is what it's being requested to go to, so my apologies. It is currently B6, and the request is to go to B2. City Council directed staff to look at different pieces of property around the city that are underutilized and possibly position them to be put up for sale. This is one of them. If you're familiar with that lot, the northern portion of the lot is vacant. There's nothing on it, and it's pretty underutilized. So what the city would like to do is split off the northern portion of that and place it for sale. The current B6 zoning would not allow for the lot to be split due to both the minimum lot size requirement and setbacks. The minimum lot size in a B6 zoning district is 4 acres. B6 is our sub-regional shopping center, so that would be West Ridge Mall, that would be Fleet Farm, that would be as well as, I believe, Walmart are B6 properties in town. The setbacks for B6 zoning are 50 feet on all sides, so if you looked at that, even if we could do the, get around the lot size requirements, the 50-foot setbacks would make the property almost impossible to be developed. So what staff is proposing is to rezone the property to B2, which is our service business district. B2 is already contiguous to the property to the west, and actually is, to kind of give a little bit of understanding, that B2 goes all the way along Lincoln Avenue, up Western Avenue, also up Frontier. So that is where a lot of our retail is, also our hotel core and all of that. So there is no minimum lot size in a B2 zoning district, and the setbacks are 20 feet for the front and the rear, and 10 feet on the side. So that would actually, that makes it, would make the property a little bit more easier to be developed. So finally, the B2 allows for a wide variety of commercial uses, ranging from retail, office, dining, and lodging. The other thing I will mention is in terms of this property going up for sale, as it is part of the Fleet Farm original plat, there are some development restrictions in terms of things that could not go on the site, basically things that are direct competitors to Fleet Farm. So that's just something to keep in mind. But staff does recommend approval of rezoning the parcel located at 2010 West Lincoln from B6 to B2.
Any questions of the council?
I will offer that.
Thank you, Jim.
I'll second that, Your Honor.
Thank you, Darren. Any discussion or questions? All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Believe it or not, we have that ordinance drafted. So we will need someone to introduce the first reading of ordinance 74, 7th series, rezoning that property located at 2010 West Lincoln Avenue from B6 to B2.
So moved.
Thank you, Scott. Item number 6, we will entertain a resolution authorizing the mayor and city administrator to execute the appropriate documents related to the Outstate Brewing Company LLC IRP loan, and I'll call on Community Development Director Dean Baldwin.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Outstate Brewing Company LLC has requested the city's participation in the financing of equipment for a new production brewery and tap house to be located along the Fergus Falls riverfront. Staff has reviewed the bank loan write-up, which anticipates a $250,000 Fergus Falls city loan through the Intermediary Relending Program, or IRP, loan fund. The loan would have a 7-year amortization and a 5% interest rate. The IRP loan pool was originally capitalized in the 1990s with USDA dollars for the purpose of establishing a revolving loan fund to provide gap financing. This loan request results from a financial shortfall that is caused by the bank loan being limited due to the overall loan exposure on the project and the guidelines for a startup business of this type. The internal IRP committee reviewed the request and does support the loan application. As well, staff has reviewed the loan request with the regional USDA rep to ensure that it would be a compliant type of loan, and he does feel that this would be a good use of funds and is appropriate. If approved, the city would hold a second position on the real estate for this project behind the lead lender, and the city would be filing a shared UCC on the overall business equipment along with the bank. As well, we'd receive our traditional 1.5% origination fee on the loan amount, personal guarantees from the primary borrowers, key person life insurance policies assigned to the city would also be required. As well, there are additional personal guarantees being required by the bank from 2 minority business owners in the business, which would further strengthen the city's position from a collateral perspective should something not proceed positively with this project. Overall, the real estate portion of the project totals approximately $800,000, with the bank providing $600,000 of that, $200,000 coming from equity from the project. And the equipment itself is about $500,000, with the city being half of that project, the bank providing an additional $190,000 and $60,000 of equity, all totaling approximately a $1.3 million project between the real estate development and the equipment being looked at financing. There's additional working capital being secured by the borrower as well. Outstate Brewing has entered into a purchase agreement for this primary equipment, which is the brewing equipment, just to be clear, and has also negotiated a purchase agreement on the land they are looking at that is dependent on final approval of the financing from the bank and the city. We're looking at a late winter, spring 2019 closing for this loan. So while we're putting these approvals in place, the city would not be putting funds into the project until the equipment would be delivered, and that would go into the shell of the building. So the project would be farther along before our funds would actually go into the project itself. This is a market rate loan based on the interest rate, so it does not require a business subsidy agreement nor a public hearing in association with the loan itself. The city would be receiving interest on the loan as far as benefits ongoing. The project is proposing to create 8 to 10 new jobs, and we'd be seeing development along the riverfront. The new facility would also be, as it would be new construction, would be generating new real estate property taxes. And based on a very preliminary estimate from Otter Tail County, we'd be looking at approximately $690,000 in new tax value, which would result, based on our current tax rates, $22,000 in new annual taxes in their total bill, which would include the city, county, school, state, all the taxing jurisdictions. The majority property owners are Daniel Mohagan and Patrick Lundberg, and they plan to open the business in 2019. There are representatives of the business here this evening if you have any questions for them. Otherwise, I'm happy to answer other questions as well.
Thank you, Amy. Is there any questions from the council of either Amy or both Pat and Dan are in the audience?
They know how to brew beer.
They do. If not, I'd entertain a resolution.
I'll offer, Your Honor.
Accepting that? Okay, thank you,
I
Justin.
would second it.
Thank you, Jim.
Your Honor.
He's jumping at the
Yeah.
chance to offer a resolution to brew beer, huh? Roll call, please.
Hicks.
Yes.
Pepper.
Yes.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
Hooper.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Arneson.
Yes.
Speedo.
Abstain.
Maybe they'll make root beer also.
That resolution's approved, and we're really looking forward to that addition to the city of Fergus Falls. So that investment in the city of Fergus Falls and on the river. So really, really excited and looking forward to that. Your endeavors. Good luck to you, gentlemen.
Good luck.
Item number 7 is a resolution authorizing the city administrator to sign an agreement with Hildy Inc. for an actuarial study for the city of Fergus Falls. And I'll call on our finance director, Bill Sonmore.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before you tonight is a contract we need to sign with Hildy Incorporated. Governmental accounting standards require that we do an actuarial study of our health insurance plans every other year. So this is kind of a housekeeping item because we have to do it. There are only about 2 firms that I know of in the state of Minnesota that do this work. We have contracted with this firm, Hildy Incorporated, over the last number of years. The price is about $3,000 to do the actual study. The following year, they do a roll-up of that, so we have our disclosures for our audit report for the following year, 2020, and that's about $500. So I recommend you approve this agreement.
Any questions of Bill? If not, someone offer that. Do you have a
I'm just
question?
wondering where the money comes from for the study.
We've been pulling this out of our health insurance fund. We have a separate internal service fund, and I'm going to analyze that, and if there's not quite enough to cover this, that's pretty much a pass-through fund. We collect all the premiums into that fund, pay them over to Lakes Country Service Co-op. We've had somewhat of a balance in there, but if there's not enough, I'm going to allocate it out to the departments based on their proportion according to insurance premiums.
Someone offer that resolution.
I'll offer that, Your Honor.
Thank you, Darren.
Second, Your Honor.
Thank you, Tom. Any, do you have a question too, Darren? No? All right, roll call, please.
Hicks.
Yes.
Pepper.
Yes.
Fish.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
Hooper.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Arneson.
Yes.
Speedo.
No.
That resolution is approved. Under presentation of claims tonight, we have claims in the amount of $1,798,915.84. And if there's any questions, we'll direct them to Bill Sonmore, our finance director. Questions? No?
I'll offer that, Your Honor.
Thank you, Tom.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Scott. Roll call, please.
Hicks.
Yes.
Pepper.
Yes.
Fish.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
Hooper.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Ernest.
Yes.
Siegel.
Yes.
That resolution is approved. There are no board, committee, or department reports. There are no reports from staff or administrative offices or any old, unfinished, or any new business. Under miscellaneous announcements, on October 24th is the Downtown Riverfront Phase 1 Improvements Open House. That's 5 to 7 p.m. here in the City Hall Council Chambers. October 31st will be at the Committee of the Whole meeting at 7 a.m. And also on October 31st is Halloween. And also on October 31st is citywide leaf pickup from 6 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And the next council meeting is 2 weeks from tonight, Monday, November 5th. And the election is the following day on Tuesday, November 6th. So, anything else to come before the council? We're adjourned.